It's the SKOR North Twins Show. Baseball.
SKOR North Twins Show. Cue your Sarah McLachlan music. Pablo Lopez out 8 to 12 weeks. Teres injury. Same injury that Joe Ryan had last year. Same grade 2 teres strain. I feel like these type of injuries, and by the way, hit the like button and subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel. I feel like these injuries are like really not silent, but like it's the second time the pitcher has come off the mound. The numbers and velocity and spin rates look good, and then something clearly just doesn't feel exactly right. And then all of a sudden they have this, what's first a lat strain is what it's diagnosed as, and then all of a sudden it's a teres strain, which runs like I think kind of near your triceps. But Pablo Lopez will be out the next 8 to 12 weeks with this injury. Big buzzkill for the Twins.
Yeah, I think the only silver lining in the timeline would be because you said this is the same injury pretty much that Joe Ryan had last year, and the biggest problem there was he suffered the injury on August 7th at Wrigley Field. Is when at least that maybe it was percolating a little bit, the discomfort before that, because Joe Ryan has been known to pitch through things and not tell the team in the past. But when he suffered the injury the first week in August, and then you get the 8 to 12 week timeline, your season's over pretty much. There was kind of some hope that, maybe he could get back for the very, and he wound up he never came back. So I don't know if he heated up and did some bullpens, but he never came back and pitched. There's enough time is my silver lining. Yeah. Even if you get to the 12 week kind of end of that 8 to 12 week projection, where Pablo Lopez could be available if you are still in some sort of a pennant or division race back half of September, October.
So when Joe got hurt last year, the Twins were actually, it was right before the great collapse started. And if you guys recall, at the time, the optimism was, well, he'll be back for the playoffs, which I think was potentially the goal. But then I want to say I read a story in spring training where he said he didn't really feel good again until November or something like that. And so that's the other thing here. I think this comes down to one very, very important thing. And we talked about this being a possibility. And unfortunately, Pablo Lopez going down is among the worst case scenarios. And that's this. Zebby's in the rotation now. Festa's back, and it sounds like he's going to start today against an A's team that should be probably contracted or at least sent to a AA platform. But
they kind of are, actually.
But yeah, that's a touche. That's a very good point. But what are you going to get from those two now? Because like we knew eventually that both of them would probably be necessary to step in. You were hoping that it would be for like Chris Paddock or something like that. So it's a little bit more of a downer or a bummer. But I do think this comes around to the conversation that goes back to, I think, spring training, which is eventually you're probably going to need both of those guys. And now you do, because Provis had a very good point on the telecast a couple of weeks ago. And he said he actually traces the great collapse of 2024 to when Ryan got hurt. He's like it started in Texas, but if you really go back, it really started in Wrigley when Ryan walked off the mound there. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things here, but if Festa and Zebby can pull their weight, I think you can definitely survive it.
Well, even though there's been flashes of some nice starts from both of them, I mean, them equally will not give you what Pablo Lopez gives you for the next 12 weeks. I mean, they can fill it admirably, and credit to the Twins pitching development that they actually now have guys that they can rely on from their system that can be plugged and played in here. But if you didn't have Pablo Lopez here, I guess here's how I look at this. Because when they lost Joe Ryan last year, it was, now you really only have two starters. You had Pablo and Bailey Ober, and you were crossing your fingers literally until the next time those two dudes got the ball. If you didn't have Pablo Lopez for the rest of the season, you would be not in a panic mode, but you would feel a lot different about how this team could perform in the playoffs. This is where when you remove one ace, you remove one pitcher from your great pitching that has been carrying you all season, it creates this domino effect, just like Provis said, where now all of a sudden things start to unravel. So before even the injury came down yesterday, I had a list of trade candidates, and mostly I had position players on it. So I still have that list, but I've added I've added a second pitcher. I had one pitcher on there as a pipe dream. I have another now pitcher to add to this list. So I don't think the Twins are going to panic and make a trade today. I don't think they might not panic at all and make no addition to the starting rotation. I think that'd be potentially foolish, but I do have a couple arms to keep in mind if we get to the trade deadline, which again is on July 31st this year.
Before you get to that list, I'd love to highlight the importance now of Chris Paddock not turning into a pumpkin. With Pablo out and Judd, you said that Joe Ryan had told reporters he didn't really feel right until November, and that also tracks because the injury happened a week into August, and it's an 8 to 12 week recovery. Okay, so a week into August, September, week into October, week into November would get you to like the 12-week period of that recovery timeline. So let's just say it's more like 10 to 12 weeks, and you might get Pablo Lopez back. If Chris Paddock continues to pitch the way that he has the last 10 starts after the blips to start the season, I think they can weather this and hopefully, Zebby Matthews and David Festa can just stay in as like 5 and fly guys, and then you lean on your bullpen. But not only has Paddock been effective, he's been giving you like 6, 7, 8 inning starts to save your bullpen. Of all the candidates to perform really well as like a high-end playoff rotation caliber starter, and not just do it pitching 5 innings, but pitching 7 innings, Chris Paddock is a big-time surprise in that department. If he keeps pitching like this, they can weather this. If he reverts back to the Chris Paddock, non-durable, ineffective the last 5 years, you're in big trouble looking at all the other teams around you nipping at your heels in that wild card race. Because at this point, you're not catching Detroit, are you? With Pablo Lopez out, how much of a machine they've been at the top of the AL Central?
If Chris Paddock continues through this stretch, he gets the apology.
Oh, then you'll give him the apology.
Then I'll give him the apology. Yeah, this is an excellent opportunity for him because you're right. If he continues to pitch the way that he's been pitching with Pablo out, now it becomes enormous. Like, it was very important already. But yes, he gets the full Zolgadian apology if he can get through this stretch, because if he does, it probably saves him. If he reverts back, you're right. You're probably in some big trouble.
Yeah. Another tentacle off the trade discussion, too, is if you don't think, Detroit, this is one of the best starts to any season in the history of that franchise. They're sitting here 41-22, plus 92 run differential. And, they've got one of the best pitchers in baseball. If you don't think you can compete for one of those top 2 seeds in the American League, and now you're fighting to just kind of get in as a wild card team, does that make you less aggressive at the trade deadline?
Might. It certainly might. Chris Paddock can fill in admirably, and they have the reinforcements internally to weather that storm. And it sounds like they're optimistic that obviously Pablo can still come back. So, can you still be in the mix there? But catching Detroit at this point, I just saw the Twins have the best record in Major League Baseball, obviously since May 1st. So the Twins have gone 21-9 since May 1st, which is the best record in baseball. The Tigers are 22-10. They've had the second best record. So you won 21 of 30 games, and you basically have gained a game on Detroit since that started. Like, if you had just played 500 baseball to start the year through that, first 21 games, maybe this, obviously this gap might be a little bit closer. But yeah, catching Detroit's going to be tough. Their prospect system they really, really like, so I don't know if they're going to be able to relinquish some of that. But we haven't really had a trade discussion yet. We were thinking about, should they just sell immediately after the poor start? That was our first kind of internal one. But let's take a look at what they could do at the trade deadline. So yesterday I went back and I looked at trades for players at the last few deadlines. What did they go for? Because also, I could try to concoct a trade out of thin air, but what was the going rate for a rental first baseman? What was the going rate for a rental starting pitcher? So here's what I found. Here are some names last year and past few deadlines that went. So let's look at Jesse Winkler, for example. He went from the Nationals to the Mets last year. Was a solid bat. Had like a 120 OPS. He was going to be a free agent, and he went to the Nationals for the 17th ranked prospect in their organization. Now, just because your top 20 prospect is this, doesn't mean that everyone's top 20 prospects ranked the same, right? Like prospect systems are different 1 through 30.
Yeah.
But that was a going rate for a rental outfielder and a slightly above average bat. Joey Gallo, few years ago, before the Twins tenure, went from the Yankees to the Dodgers for the 15th ranked prospect. Also a guy that he actually kind of popped back up a little bit in 2022. He goes for a 15th ranked prospect. Old friend CJ Cron, who had a monster year for the Rockies a few years ago after leaving the Twins. He went for the 20th and 21st prospect. So depends on the bat, depends on how good some of these guys are. But looking at what some rental position players has, and that's what I first started with was position players, you're looking anywhere between the 20th and the 12th ranked prospect. Not everyone's going to go for that, but that is what the going rate has been for former trade deadlines with those position players.
Judley?
So with that though, where would you be looking? I guess my question is from a position player aspect, X, because the position player situation is actually not bad. Where would you be looking to add, and how much did yesterday's news shift that as well to the fact that it's probably going to now be, if you are going to look to make a trade, it's now probably going to be a starting pitcher?
Can I take issue with something you just said? You said the position player situation for the Twins is not that bad, which I guess factually that might be true. If you're comparing the Twins position player situation to like all 30 teams in Major League Baseball and the Oakland Athletics playing in a minor league stadium and whoever else, then there's teams that are probably running out quad A players more than the Twins are. But if you're we're talking about making a trade at the deadline, presumably to turn a team that right now is a wild card team into a team that can do damage in October, right? Is that the premise we're all operating under here?
Yeah.
That you make a trade to, in theory, get to the World Series.
Yourself. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So by that barometer, the Twins position player group and their lineup is a below average offense right now. The major league average runs per game is 4.3, and the Twins are the first team below that league average cutoff at 4.25. If you want to go off of OPS plus, which is essentially OPS relative to league average, the league average OPS plus is always 100, and anything above 100 is above average. Anything below 100 is below average. The Twins are 19th, 20th in the league in OPS plus. They are a below average offense by almost any measurement. So yes, you could look at the position player group and say, well, Ty France, he's pretty good with runners in scoring position. He's a pretty good player, pretty good first baseman. Ty France has been worth 0.7 wins above replacement through the first 2 months of the season, and he has an OPS plus of a tick below average. So, is it a train wreck that Ty France is your starting first baseman? No. He's a league average first baseman. But if you're looking to do damage in October, you can't just be satisfied with a bunch of sort of league average, pretty good Major League Baseball players. So sure. I would like Ty France, I singled out, not to be a bully here, but if you want to win a World Series and you have a league average offense, you should upgrade from Ty France.
Yep.
So I just want to lay the ground rules for what
so here's my opinion right now, currently, okay? You've lost a key starting pitcher. I think to make the playoffs, there might be a chance. I am more now concerned about the starting pitching, not in the playoffs, but in the regular season now. I don't buy that Pablo. I mean, he's not going to be back in eight weeks. And if he is, it's probably a massive organizational mistake and panic. So I guess my premise right now is I'm more interested in the starting pitching side of things, not in the playoffs, because then it actually shortens up. But my premise is for the rest of the season, knowing what we know about what transpired with Ryan last season, and already having had a discussion that if Chris Paddock does not turn into, quote, a pumpkin, I have more of a concern about the starting pitching now. But yeah, you're right. By fine, I literally meant fine. It's not like, yes, if you want to talk about the playoffs, you definitely could upgrade in both places, and that's a fair conversation.
Okay, so pick your own adventure here. Do you want to start with the arms that I have, or do you want to start with position players?
I'd love to start. I'd love to start with the arms.
All right,
Okay,
let's do arms.
Let's do the arms. Both these guys from the same team. One that is realistic, one that's a familiar face, another one that is a complete pipe dream, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. First guy, Tyler Mahle, former friend, Tyler Mahle.
Wow.
Having an awesome season with Texas. 2 points. He is allowed in 13 starts this year, 16 earned runs. That is it. Some of the underlying metrics can definitely suggest, hey, he is not going to have a 2 ERA for the rest of the season, but he has come back from his injuries after only making like 11 starts since basically coming to the Twins in 2022. And he's been really solid for that Texas Rangers team, who is probably teetering now, in my opinions, towards selling. They could go on a run here in June, and that changes things. But Tyler Mahle is a rental. He's making $16.5 million this year. This organization's familiar with him. To look at past precedent again, Jack Flaherty last year, who was similar with service time and was having a similar year, went to the Dodgers for the 8th and 22nd prospect. So that's a range you could look at if you wanted to go maybe buy Tyler Mahle for the second time. There's probably some PTSD from the first time you bought him, but he's not untouchable. He's an asset I think you could get. That would be the first name I would be interested in. Would be a reunion with Tyler Mahle, who's having a very solid season.
Hey, the Twins love him, obviously, and it's the only time Derek Falvey has ever made a meaningful splash at any of the 8 trade deadlines he's overseen was the Tyler Mahle 2022 deadline. And then, of course, all of us were very excited, like, oh, they're making a big splash. And then you start to do a little like Googling. Oh man, he just came back he was on the shelf for like 3 weeks, arm injury. But the Twins paid for that rehab, right? So why don't you should reap the rewards of the rehab that you paid for.
I thought they let him walk.
I thought he was around for, wasn't he like?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought they did. Okay, yeah.
Let's see here.
He was around for a year of rehab. Yeah, he was,
dude. They did.
He was around. So they paid him $7.5 million for rehab.
They got him the braces, and then he
bring him back. He owes us. Okay, he should come here. Texas can pick up some of the tab too. It'll be great. Yeah, but good for Tyler Mahle, by the way. Since doing nothing for the Twins, he's now cleared, I believe, $22 million the last 2 seasons with Texas.
Yeah, so I think that's a plausible arm you can look at. Another one, and this would be something. I don't think they would do this, but he's already come up. I saw John Morosi talking about this on MLB Network. Would the Texas Rangers give up on Jacob deGrom? So Jacob deGrom is 37 years old.
He's very old.
He's old. He's too old. He's an older guy. Do you know Jacob deGrom has a lower career ERA than Clayton Kershaw?
Yeah, I mean, when he's healthy,
he's one of the best starting pitchers.
He's like a multi-time Cy Young Award winner. I recall.
It's really too bad because like from 22 to 24, he only made like over a 3-year period, made 20 starts. He was probably on a Hall of Fame track from just a number standpoint. Now longevity wise, like might be tough for him to get in, but like a 2.5 ERA is still insane for 230 big league starts, has the best strikeout to walk ratio of all time. He is owed a lot of money. He still has $38 million and $37 million for 26 and 7. There's a mutual team or a mutual option in 2028. He might not be as nasty at the peak of his powers winning Cy Youngs for the Mets like he was 6 years ago. But I mean, you add Jacob deGrom, one of the best starting pitchers over the last 10 years in Major League Baseball, to your team. I mean, that would be obviously very, very exciting.
So if you gave them a good prospect, you probably could get them to take on a little bit more of the salary as well. And I am now as you bring up these names, Dex, I am now doing the Twins a favor because I am simply typing into Google, is Jacob deGrom's arm okay? And it looks like AI says, yes, it appears to be in good condition. So I am doing the front end work that wasn't done previously by taking all of your names and just typing in a simple phrase.
Yeah.
Is so-and-so's arm
good.
okay?
Yeah, you try Chat GPT just to make sure we cover all the possible angles. I think Texas has some decisions to make because, man, they've got a lot of. They started to pump contracts onto that roster a couple years ago with Marcus Semien, and then they brought in Corey Seager and all these big names. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi is another guy who I think he might have. Is he on the injured list? I feel like he might have gotten hurt.
Yeah, he was pitching really well earlier this year.
But like Eovaldi's another guy, and he's old. Again, he's not as old as DeGrom. He's like 35 or 36. That I feel like we've talked about as a Twins candidate for years. And he also has World Series pedigree with both Texas and Boston. So, yeah, I mean, like any of those three guys would be big-time upgrades over the uncertainty of Zebby Matthews and or David Festa. But I go back to the question I asked you guys, do you think adding, let's say Jacob deGrom was guaranteed to be healthy the rest of the season here, and you could find, this is such a like un-Twins-like thing, because you'd have the 2 years remaining on that deal, ages 38, 39, and then you could it's an option for 40. Yeah. That $40 million a year, zero chance the Twins take on that money without some sort of kickback. Like, I'd be shocked. That's why the Malley contract and the Eovaldi contract, although also pretty big, make a little more sense financially. But if, let's say you added a healthy Tyler Malley or a healthy Nathan Eovaldi, do either of those guys help you catch Detroit? I think the answer is no.
I agree with that. Yep.
And then the next question is, okay, if you make that trade, if Pablo comes back for the playoffs and you're rocking like mostly a 3-man rotation with a fourth guy as needed, does that improve your chances to get through a wild card round into the division round? I just like it. Derek Falvey's general stance has been to not do anything at the trade deadline meaningful. So why would this year be different, I guess, is my question.
Can I rephrase the question a bit, though, with the current status of this franchise, especially with what's transpired in the past couple days? I guess the way I think of it right now, too, though, is what gets you into the playoffs? Like, what do you need? So like, because I don't know there's anything Declan's going to say where I say, okay, World Series contender, which is unfortunate, but just the truth. But I also think that there's something to be said for the bounce back here. And I think there's something to be said for making the playoffs. And right now, I do have some concerns about that. I understand that they're in very good shape in the wild card right now, but they also were in August of 2024. So I guess the way I'm thinking about this a little bit now, and like DeGrom with that contract, I think is a pipe dream. Malley, probably not a pipe dream. But I guess the way that I'm thinking about this in my head right now is more like what gets you into the playoffs? What keeps you in a position where you're playing competent baseball as opposed to what we saw in April, which was unfortunately some of the worst baseball I've seen in a long time.
Before I give you the position players here, this was from Jeff Passan just earlier this week on ESPN when giving kind of like a trade deadline primer for all 30 teams, what direction they're going. This is what Passan wrote about the Twins. This is a team that, when healthy, has more than enough pitching and is perhaps a bat or two shy away from giving Detroit a run for its money in the AL Central. So that was just Passan's first kind of excerpt there. But that's not the Twins' deadline style. Risk aversion is their modest operation. Status quo is their state of play. Even if they're squarely in the playoff mix, they are not the sort of team that historically adds impact type of players at the deadline. So they need Buxton and Correa to remain on the field and Royce Lewis to find himself, Matt Wallner to evolve to a middle of the lineup force. External help beyond small additions here and there just isn't the Twins' way, which is an accurate way of looking at, which is basically what Phil has been saying for the last 20 minutes of this episode.
I love Jeff Passan. He's awesome. That is the most wishy-washy, cover all vague corners of the Twins' current circumstance as you could possibly write. So if I transcribe that correctly, they are a bat or two away from giving Detroit a run or maybe giving Detroit a run? Well, I want to know who, and then maybe this is a segue into part 2 of Declan's list here. Who are the bats available and what would the cost be? Yeah, like they need to upgrade their offense, but at what cost? If you were neck and neck with Detroit and you were playing for potentially a wild card round bye, which again, I think Judd and I are having like almost like perpendicular conversations where Judd is correctly, by the way, highlighting the value of just getting back into October, getting some juice back
not
into
falling
the
apart.
organization,
Literally not
and fan
falling
base,
apart.
right?
The jalopy might be in trouble right now.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like, I think the reason why you make a move at the deadline is more to fortify a team that you think can play throughout the duration of October. And I'm curious to know what bats those may be and what the cost is.
Okay, so let's look at 2 of these bats. Again, rentals. I'm looking at rentals here because it's easier to acquire. I have historic precedent to look at. So the first bat, a guy that the Twins are very, again, familiar with from his time with the Guards, Josh Naylor. So Josh Naylor is now in Arizona in a walk year, having a very Josh Naylor year. Over the last 4 seasons, Josh Naylor has an OPS plus of 123. So he's been a very slightly above league average bat. Last year, hit 31 home runs, drove in 108 for that Guards team that went to the ALCS. He's in the last year of his deal. He's making $10.9 million this year, so you'd only be on the hook for just a chunk of that. Taking a look again at what other players went, I gave you Winkler, Crone, somewhere between your 20th and 12th best prospect. Defensively, he's always just been okay at first base. This year, from a defensive run save standpoint, he has regressed a bit. He's like -6 defensive runs saved, which is ugh. But his bat has certainly been more consistent and better than Ty France's. So that's the one that actually I think is obtainable. It would make your first base better. By the way, just from an OPS side, the Minnesota Twins first baseman this year, whether it's mostly been Ty France, but just their first baseman as a whole, have a 686 OPS and a slugging percentage of just 358. They have not gotten a lot of pop from the first base side. Ty France has been a monster with runners in scoring position, but it's mostly station to station type of stuff. So Josh Naylor, that would be a position player I think is obtainable and one that the Twins are familiar with.
And he'd be a pure rental, right?
Pure rental.
He's a free agent at the end of the year. Yeah, if you took his with the first base OPS you threw out for the Twins, you'd be getting like 100 if his 792 OPS from this year, which is right around his 4-year average. If that carried over to Target Field, you'd be upgrading by like a 100 to 150 OPS points, which is nice. That upgrades your offense. And if you took his 120, what's his OPS plus? 119. He has a 119 OPS plus, 100 being league average. That would be like 4th on the current Twins. If you took Keyshaw, small sample size off, Cody Clemens, Matt Wallner, Byron Buxton, and then I guess he's like right in there with Harrison Bader. So he would literally be right now one of your top hitters in your lineup. All right.
The bat definitely, the bat plays for sure. The problem with all of this too, though, is these teams. There's so many teams, and this is the case because of the expanded playoffs now, sniffing around wild cards, right? So the Diamondbacks are second to last to the atrocious Rockies in the National League West, but they're 3.5 back in the wild card. So I guess the question too is, despite the fact that he's in a potential walk year, would they trade him? But if they would, I would definitely consider it.
I think like based on where they're at, like that's one of those organizations where, yeah, they're going to probably, it'd be great to make a wild card run, but if you can get an asset for an expiring Josh Naylor contract.
Sure.
But then you look at the Twins, are the Twins in any better of a spot than the Diamondbacks, who are like, both teams are kind of grinding for a while. Right now the Twins are. And the Twins do have, I think their run differential is like 50 runs better plus minus than Arizona. So the Twins being a handful of games above 500 with that run differential shows you that their process is probably repeatable, and the Diamondbacks are more like a 500 team. So
and the the Snakes are in a position where they have a lot of UFAs. Zach Gallen's a UFA next year. Merrill Kelly's a UFA next year. They obviously have Josh Naylor, who I just talked about. Like, they're in this kind of teeter-tottering area. Now, if they get hot in June, I think they push ahead. But they also could be in a position where, hey, we're about to lose a lot of guys that we could give qualifying offers to, but we could get more right now. Probably a team to watch there. One more bet here. Before we get to a random twin from Judd, hit that like button and subscribe button too on the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel, 5-star rating on Apple and Spotify. I think this guy's probably going to be potentially one of the bigger rentals available because this team is for sure going to sell. Ryan O'Hearn for Baltimore is having a monster season for that very disappointing Birds team. Ryan O'Hearn has an OPS plus of 172 right now. He's hitting 328. He's having a career year at age 31. He's been with Baltimore he's been in Kansas City, came up with the Royals, has been with Baltimore the last few years. Matt Borg-Schulte, the Twins hitting coach, is familiar with them, plays some good first base. Again, I think this is a rental, even though it's gone between the 12th and 20 prospects. This might be a guy that creates a bidding war, and probably even you get maybe even like a top 10 inside it prospect potentially for him because he's having such a good year.
Can't do it.
So that'd be a guy too that would be obtainable. Can't do it.
I worry that you are overpaying for like a random pop-up first half of like he's a good baseball player, but the way he's performing in the first half of this season at age, if he was 25, I'd feel like, oh, this is a breakout. He's becoming who he is as a player. When you see guys who have 2,000 career plate appearances have this type of a pop-up, and then, you desperately give up a top 10 prospect or something, guess what's going to happen in the second half of the year? You're going to buy the 630 OPS second half of the year from him and regret the fact that you gave up a top. I would rather trade for Naylor with his track record than O'Hearn and his track record leading to this explosion of a first 2 months.
He's always been he doesn't strike out. He draws walks. Even the last 3 years, he has a win probability added of 6.3. Like, he's been a really solid player for Baltimore on, those Birds teams that have this year they're kind of punting, but I wouldn't actually rule out Baltimore being able to dig out of this in 2026 if they make some right and necessary moves. I get it that, you're probably going to overpay for a guy who's hitting 328 right now and just having a monster season. But he'd be a clear upgrade, obviously, just like Josh Naylor would be a clear upgrade over Ty France.
Yeah, and I think in fairness, let's throw out the Kansas City years, the 5 years he was kind of up and down in Kansas City, because all right, your stops and starts 24, 25, first time in the major leagues. If you just take his 3-year Baltimore track record, it's much more palatable. But even then, the first 2 years in Baltimore, which is a very hitter-friendly environment too, it's more hitter-friendly than Target Field. His OPS those 2 years was 779, which is that's very good. It's 170 points higher in the first 2 months of this year. So just if you make a trade for him, trade for the 3-year average version of him in terms of the value. Don't think that you're getting a 940 OPS guy for the entire season. I would just be careful there.
Is the prospect return on both of these trades, in your mind, Declan, the same?
I think O'Hearn's going to get more because he's having a bigger season. I think there's going to be a bidding war. Now, Baltimore might have to settle, right? Maybe other teams dude, this guy's has a 172 OPS plus, to Phil's point. It's not sustainable. So, if you want our 12th best, 15th best prospect, here is your offer, take it or leave it. But I think you're in a similar vein. I don't think Naylor will cost as much. That's just my.
Then I'll take Doré. Then I'll take him.
Yeah,
we'll take Naylor.
Yeah. I mean, Naylor has a track record of hitting more home runs. If sometimes RBIs can be a product of environment and there's some luck baked in there, but Naylor hits bombs and drives in runs.
Yeah,
much more reliably over his career than Ryan O'Hearn. Now, Ryan O'Hearn, to Declan's point, he'll draw walks and he will work counts. He will put the bat on the ball. But I think I give the edge to Naylor. I mean, if you could let's say you got frisky for the second time in the history of the Derek Falvey regime, and you added Naylor and Malley. What does that do? It makes it more likely you make the playoffs, right? So I guess it checks that box, which is an important box.
Yes, I don't think there is an answer to your question that is going to prove satisfactory when it comes to the World Series.
And maybe I come toward you and say, all right, let's just get back to the playoffs and win the second playoff series in the last 23 years of Twins baseball.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there after the new ownership takes over.
Yep.
And Detroit's playing great ball, but we've seen unbelievable Dodgers teams not get by the ALDS. It's not the American, it's definitely the Tigers and Yankees. And then I do think there is a cliff. There's a drop off there. But also we've seen crazy stuff in baseball playoffs. Random twin coming up here on the SKOR North Twin Show. But Judd, tell us about Stoked barbecue pellets.
I would absolutely love to, Declan. Thank you. Because guess what, folks? It's gorgeous outside. It's so nice outside. And you know what? That brings up a lot of things. Most importantly, it brings up the fact it's barbecue season, and that means it's time for you to get stoked with Stoked barbecue pellets, a company based and operated right here in our great state. I'm talking about Stoked barbecue pellets, 50-count fire starter buckets, 4-count fire starter bags, barbecue caddies, which are a must for the grill master in your life. You can find their products at Fratelloni's hardware and garden stores. Also, check out StokedBBQ.com to find all of the dealer locations so that you can be prepared. Stoked solid oak firewood, perfect for your tabletop stove. Easy to use 5-inch pieces that will burn for 3+ hours. Again, it's simply time to get stoked. Find them at Fratelloni's hardware and garden stores.
Let's party.
Baseball.
Exactly right.
All right, random twin of the week coming up here on the SKOR North Twin Show. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up my list. I know I dropped one last week. Lou Ford. Phil won with Lou Ford. I was giving the clues.
Yeah, I lost.
Judd lost.
Yeah, thanks.
Before that, Jim Thome, Renee Tassoni, Brian Harper, Harmon Killebrew. I haven't won. Oh, no, I won with Tassoni, but Danny Coulomb was another one. Brian Buchanan. A lot of fun names here on the random twin of the week. So, Judd, you have the clues here. Floor is yours.
Okay. First of all, I was amazed that this guy hadn't been used, to the fact that I went back 6 times and did Control F. It was like, really? He hasn't been used? So here we go.
I feel like that is a clue.
That's a clue.
Oh, it's
That's
100%
a clue right
a
there.
clue. It's 100% a clue. Now the question is it helpful or does it cause one to
Hold on, I'm going to
overthink?
control F here. I'm going to control
Yeah,
F.
I have an idea.
I have a guess.
Okay, I was gonna say, could we do a heat check?
Well, we do it on
Flagrant House.
Yeah,
Who am I to
random
stand
wolf
in
of
the
the
way?
week. We do a heat
Who am I
check.
to stand in the way of a heat check?
Okay, Declan, go ahead. Do it.
But a heat check meaning that do we get a free guess?
Well, the way it works on Random Wolf of the Week is Ross gives the first clue, and then both contestants get a heat check guess after the first clue that doesn't count toward their
Do you
3
want
strikes.
one clue? Or
Yeah,
did I give you a clue?
you kind of gave a clue
Okay.
there.
Kind of gave it.
Okay, then free heat checks.
All right, mine. Can I go first? I know that's kind
I
of
think
cheating.
we
I
might
guess.
have the same guess.
Okay, we're gonna both say it on 3 then.
Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Nick
Bobby
Punto.
Hilty.
No.
Oh God, can you imagine?
Clang.
It was one of them. Can you
Both of
imagine?
them.
Clang.
Nick Kilty. Okay.
All right. Clue number 1.
Punto.
This random twin was a 3-time All-Star. Nice career. 3 times in the Midsummer Classic.
3-time All-Star.
This random twin was originally a 16th round pick of the Cleveland Indians out of high school, but elected not to sign.
Oh. Well,
The tribe.
this might still be in play.
He began his minor league, so professional career, as a third baseman. It's not where he ended up, but he started there.
Okay, so then he.
Interestingly, he had a career best WAR of 4 at the age of 30. So 4.0 WAR, but at the age of 30, career best. 3-time All-Star, though. So we're talking about a legit ball player here.
Yeah.
He hit a home run off another random twin, Greg Swindell, in his first major league at bat.
First major league at bat. Holy
Yep.
cow.
Yep, hit a home run off Greg Swindell.
Hold on. I mean, you can keep going, whatever. Just
Okay.
No, we did him already. Okay. Did we do him? Ooh.
He had a career WAR when it was all said and done of 28.
It's a nice career.
Interesting career arc as well, because he had never hit more than 16 home runs in a season until 1996, when he hit 35 home runs.
35 home
So
runs.
jumped from 16, career high 16, and then all of a sudden in 96, well into his career. Power. Ooh.
A lot of random pop-ups in the 90s.
I'm not making any accusations. This was just a great year for this young man.
Was he a young man in 1996?
No, probably not. He was young in human years, in baseball years, a little long in the tooth. Declan, do you want to guess, or should I keep going?
No.
Okay. Some other facts about his 96 campaign.
Oh. Nope, never mind. Wait.
I thought it was someone specifically, but he would have to have made more than 3 All-Star games and has a better career WAR of 28.
Okay.
Personally.
I have 3 names written down right now. I'm trying to figure
Okay.
out.
Do you want to unleash a guess or no?
I'll be honest, I'm not close. I don't think I'm close. If that helps you, if you want to unleash a guess.
Oh. I need to control F. We haven't done this guy. Dave Hollins.
Well, that
I won't feel bad if I lose that.
That's a
fine.
great guess. Dave Hollins. It's incorrect.
All right, so I have one official incorrect guess. Declan has all 3 remaining, right?
Okay. So back to his 96 season. That season, he had 100 RBIs and finished 21st in MVP voting. So he got some MVP love. Not very much, but he got a little bit, which he definitely did not do through the rest of his career.
That didn't come with the Twins, did it?
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
No, not
It did
that
not.
team.
I know.
In
It
fact,
did
the
not.
96 Twins
Did not.
had a great offense, but no power. Because Kirby Puckett
figured.
woke
Yeah,
up
I
blind
figured.
before. That was Paul Molitor.
This random twin, in the course of his career, stole 23 bases, but was caught stealing 22 times. Not a lot of speed from this guy. Not a lot of speed at all.
Okay, I can cross this other name off my list then.
Bit of a slowpoke, if you will. His resume does include 3 World Series rings.
Holy.
Oh, man. Okay, hold on. I need to... blah, blah, blah.
Done this guy.
So he would have won 2 there. Where would the third one have been? Okay, Terry Steinbach.
Nice work.
Is it?
Nice work. Yes, you're
Let's
correct.
go!
Terry Steinbach.
So he won 2 with the A's. And...
No, he won 3 with the A's.
3 with the A's. So 80,
According to what I found, yep.
89. I'm gonna look him up now.
He played at the end of his career here. I forgot about this. He got hurt in a water skiing accident and retired after that.
Old
He didn't-
Steiny.
he didn't
He's a one-time World Series champion. So that was a deceiving clue from Jeff.
So
He
he
played in
he
the
played
World
in
Series 3
okay.
times.
Oh, Wikipedia led me wrong.
88, 89,
Wow.
90.
Mhm.
Wow.
Retrial.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Declan wants to play this game under protest, it would
I don't
be
think Declan was
within
going to
his
get
rights.
this one from his demeanor.
Declan, do you know who Terry Steinbach
Yes,
is?
I know who Terry Steinbeck is, but I definitely would not have been able to
Yeah.
sniff that out quick.
Yeah,
It would have taken a while. I kind of forgot how great of a career he did have.
he had a really good career. He was
Really
a hell of
good.
a
Really good
player
career.
in Oakland.
Yeah.
And it was very
Yeah.
exciting that the Twins scooped him up because Minnesota
Yeah.
connections.
Yeah. New Ulm.
New Ulm, yeah.
And
Mhm.
and he came off that crazy season, and it just felt like, oh man, he's gonna. Yeah, wasn't quite that guy ever again.
I had a guess, and I'm not going to use it because I'm going to use this player for next week's random twin of the week.
Okay.
That's a clue right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You almost gave another clue.
I wrote down, because I'm firmly expecting, or at least I was until you said that right there, Declan, that the random twin of the week next week would be Dave Hollins.
No.
Okay.
No.
Just know that I am 100% using Dave Hollins at some
Hollins.
point as a random twin of the week.
Hell of a player.
Yep. Wow. Good stuff. Congrats to me, everyone.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Phil, that is career win number 33 in
33.
random twin of the week. Judd, you have 27. I have 25.
I got to get hot again. That's
Phil's. Don't let the Twins get hot, and don't let Phil get hot. That's what's said at his house.
Or if the Twins
all right.
do get hot, their ace gets hurt, and then you're fine.
Yep. Bring back Tyler Malley.
That's right.
Like button, subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show. Twins are back at Target Field this weekend against Toronto. Extra innings from the ballpark for sure. A few times this weekend. Appreciate you guys. We'll be talking at you soon.